Now at 6.
There's one person out there that knows exactly why this horrible thing happened to Brian.
Renewed hope for grieving families seeking closure as Portland police bring back the cold case unit. Plus, shootings and violent crime on the rise in Oregon's capital city, especially among young people.
When we don't fill the void with something positive, then something negative can unfortunately take hold.
And growing support for a Vietnamese restaurant after an odor complaint sparked outcry and confusion.
We need to be able to know what the rules are, what the regulations are. But this was new to me. I had not seen this before.
What prompted the city of Portland to back down? And thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Gordon. Our top story at 6. Portland police are once again tackling hundreds of unsolved cases. They're reinstating a cold case unit after it was disbanded just a couple of years ago. Ashley Grams joins us in the newsroom. And Ashley, this is really encouraging for families who are still waiting for answers.
Right, there are now resources dedicated to solving these cases, some that date back to the 1960s and others that happened just a few years ago. For years, George and Carolyn Spalding have asked for answers.
We're in a spot I never could have predicted.
This year will be year 7, asking if anyone knows anything about the murder of their son Brian.
He was shot to death. We know exactly how, we know exactly where. We don't know by who, and we don't know why.
Brian's murder is one of 300 cold cases Portland police are tasked with solving. Now there's renewed efforts to make that happen.
We're bringing back the cold case unit.
On Wednesday, Portland police announced they're reinstating the cold case unit. The small team of 2 was disbanded in 2022.
Because of COVID, we lost all of our volunteers and then also staffing issues.
This year, they're bringing on 4 detectives thanks to a federal grant worth $2.5 million.
Hopefully with the funding of this case and the other cases as well, they'll get some more information that can narrow down a resolution to it.
Detectives say about $300,000 will be reserved for new forensic testing.
That is something that we do have cases right now ready to go.
Spalding is grateful the investigation is ongoing, not just for himself, but for every family left waiting for justice.
I'm still a little choked up and seeing the other faces going by. You know, there's so many other families that are adversely affected by the senseless gun violence.
And this funding isn't limited to solving homicide cases. Any violent crime like robberies or assaults can also be investigated by this unit. Tim?
And we hope it brings closure. Thanks a lot, Ashley. And now to tonight's headlines. And in Central Oregon, officials at Mount Bachelor say a man from Bend died after he became trapped in deep snow while skiing at the resort Tuesday afternoon. The Deschutes County Sheriff says 58-year-old Robert Harrington was found unconscious around 2 p.m. in the Far West Bowls area off the Northwest Express lift. Another skier performed CPR until the ski patrol arrived. They brought Harrington to the West Village Medical Facility by snowmobile, but they were unable to revive him. He was pronounced dead about an hour later. Now, this is the first reported death at an Oregon ski area this season. Well, the new unemployment system for Oregon is off to a bumpy start for some customers. Francis Online launched Monday after the state invested $100 million towards a software revamp. Aaron Kyer says he was laid off in mid-January and receiving benefits weekly until the launch. He says he's now spent almost 18 hours on the phone trying to get his benefits.
If their phone lines are busy for their entire business day for 2.5 days, those are not people saying, oh, I'm having a hard time learning a new system. Those are people telling you the system is not working, it's broken.
OED says they've been closely monitoring the system to address complaints. They estimate the current wait time is 11 minutes for those on desktop and less than 9 minutes for those on a mobile device. In Salem this afternoon, lawmakers in the House passed the state's first major campaign finance reform legislation in decades. House Bill 4024 puts stricter limits on how much so-called small donor committees can donate to candidates. It also slashes the maximum amounts that nonprofit membership organizations are allowed to give to candidates. The Senate now has until Sunday to pass the bill. If they don't, government watchdog groups are expected to push for a campaign finance reform ballot measure for this November for voters. Pat Doris and the team will have a deep dive on the legislation. That's coming up at 6:30 on The Story. Well, this May, Gresham residents will be voting on a 5-year levy to boost police and fire protection. The City Council unanimously referred the question to voters this morning, saying it is needed because city services have not kept pace with population growth. It would fund 13 new firefighter positions and 9 new police positions, in addition to 30 existing public safety jobs. The estimated cost, about $25 a month for the average homeowner. Election day is May 21st. Today on Capitol Hill, the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board told a Senate committee that Boeing is not fully cooperating with its investigation into the 737 MAX 9 door plug blowout over Portland. Jennifer Homendy told senators that documents were requested 2 months ago, shortly after the incident, and Boeing still has not produced them.
Boeing has not provided us with the documents and information that we have requested numerous times over the past few months, specifically with respect to opening, closing, and removal of the door, and the team that does that work at the Renton facility.
Now, Homendy says it's possible the documents they're asking for don't actually exist. If so, it would raise serious questions about Boeing's quality control and safety practices. Here's Matt.
Thanks, Tim. A beautiful sunset underway. This from our reserve golf course Skycam. We've clouded over this afternoon, but there's that crease of clearing right along the edge of right along the horizon and out over the coast of the Coast Range. And with that clearing sky, it's going to get cold again later on tonight. We're 43 right now. And up on the mountain, boy, it's been sunny, but we just lost the light. It's been some really nice alpenglow up on the hill, down to 21 already. Temperatures really dropping fast with the snow cover. But we did something today that we haven't done all month so far. We hit 50 degrees in Portland. Now, that is unusual. We usually hit 50 in March, I'll show you, most of the time. But it was our first day of the month to reach 50 degrees and our warmest day since February 23rd. We hit 63 on that date. That is the warmest temperature of 2024 in Portland so far. Like I said, we normally hit 50 in March 84% of the time. Of course, that includes the latter half of the month when 50s are more common, but still, we've been running colder than average all week long, basically, since that cold weather set in last week. Tomorrow morning, it'll be chilly, be below freezing. We'll have frost and areas of fog yet again, very much like this morning, and then more sunshine to get up to 50 degrees yet again, like we did today. Now, there's warmer weather on the way for Friday. Enjoy that because it only lasts for one day, and then the mountain snow and the valley rain return as we go into the weekend. Tim, we'll talk more on that later. Back to you.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, Matt.
When we don't fill the void with something positive, then something negative can unfortunately take hold, and that's what we're seeing out there.
City leaders in Salem are calling on members of the community to come together to address a rise in violent crime and gun violence, especially among young people. John Adams joins us now from Salem, where a community event is taking place tonight. John, what should people expect there?
Yeah, Tim, people can expect city leaders to brief them on violent crime trends here in the city of Salem and a discussion on ways to address those issues. Well, the city of Salem hired an outside group to compile crime data from 2018 through 2023 to better understand some of the challenges Salem is facing. Now, the study, which can be viewed on the city's website, revealed that gun crimes have doubled in the last 5 years and that teenagers and kids are becoming increasingly involved in that gun violence. The findings have compelled the mayor's office and the Salem police chief to form the Community Violence Reduction Initiative. Police Chief Trevor Womack believes a full community approach is the best way to stop and reverse the trend.
We know just from evidence from what works in other cities that it takes really a whole of community approach. And so without the community's voice in this process, we can't be as effective as we possibly could.
Well, the event here at the East Salem Community Center started just a few minutes ago at 6 o'clock, and the parking lot is full. It seems like a lot of people here in the community are interested in hearing what the police chief and the mayor have to say. If you are interested and you miss this meeting tonight, the police chief says there will be many more opportunities throughout 2024. Tim?
All right, John, thanks a lot. Well, budget cuts at Portland Public Schools could affect school safety positions. Now, this week, we've been telling you how PPS has to slash its budget and eliminate some positions. Thomas Schultz joins us now. And Thomas, you've heard of at least one middle school that may lose their safety officer.
Yeah, Tim, one middle school at least, and those safety officers are security staff members who don't have a badge or a gun. Now, they were placed at all district middle schools and high schools this year, though now, due to budget cuts, that could change.
It doesn't feel good to send your kid to school knowing that there's no security.
Jennifer Hornick is a mom of 2 kids at West Sylvan Middle School, though recently she learned there may not be security staff at the school next year.
I don't see how they can selectively, cut one school or the other.
Hornick says school administrators told her most middle schools will retain campus safety associates, but a few won't.
West Sylvan was deemed not what they called high priority.
And she says it's confusing which schools are determined a priority for CSAs, though a Portland Public spokesperson says the decision is based on a multitude of things, like incident reports and historical data. And they say potential cuts to CSAs aren't a sure thing. PPS's budget won't be finalized until late April. There could also be rover safety associates who go to different schools throughout a day.
I think there's still a lot to figure out.
Giovanni Cafiso also has a kid at West Sylvan. He says the school does a good job keeping students safe through administrators, counselors, and restorative justice coordinators. And he says CSAs may not be imperative for West Sylvan.
I don't think it's an absolutely necessary role as long as we have other resources that ensure the school safety.
And these potential cuts come months after Portland Public said it would have to cut staff. And budget cuts are weighing heavily on school board members.
It's not as if I want to cut it, that none of us do.
Now, after agreeing to a new contract with teachers in November, ending a near month-long strike, Portland Public did say it would have to cut its budget. We reached out to the teachers union president for an interview about this today. We never heard back. Tim?
All right, Thomas, thanks. It's going to be an interesting few months here getting that budget together. Well, coming up.